Well, for better or worse, they actually went through with Wrestlemania this year. But was it good or bad? Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 best and worst of WrestleMania 36. For this list, we're looking at the show that was too big for one night, for some reason, and looking at what all the highlights and lowlights were. Buckle up, because it's been a weird one. Number 5, worst. The Universal Championship match. Now, there were some who were pretty happy to see Goldberg drop the belt, but honestly, it did not feel worth it. Without a crowd, the explosive style of Goldberg's matches just didn't match the earlier ones, like Goldberg vs Lesnar for example. Obviously, this was meant to be Roman Reigns' moment, but with everything going on, they needed to have a suitable replacement. It's just, maybe Braun wasn't the right guy? To have Braun finally reach the top of the mountain, but with zero build-up and zero crowd to cheer for his victory, it just didn't really sit well with us. They should have saved it for a less rainy day. Oh, and the match sucked, obviously. Number 5 best. The Firefly Funhouse Match. Now, this one would be higher on the list if so many people didn't hate it. Yes, this match truly killed kayfabe. You will definitely either love or absolutely despise it with every fibre of your being. But hey, let's focus on the positives. This match, can we call it a match? Was basically the wrestling equivalent of the final 2 episodes of Neon Genesis Evangelion, as The Fiend took John through the past in a weird series of hallucinogenic scenes. And it was weird as hell. Now, I'm not a fan of The Fiend, I won't lie, but it was nice to see something different. Number 4 worst. The Last Man Standing match. Edge returning was one of the emotional highlights of pro wrestling this year. But man, could they have done better with his first match back. This feud had an awesome build-up, but the contest itself ended up being a sloppy stroll around the entire performance center. It was like watching 2 drunks throw hands down at the pub for like 40 bloody minutes. There were some decent spots here and there, but the commentators sounded like they were even less interested than we were. Hopefully, this feud will continue with something a little spicier. But for now, the people who probably enjoyed this the most were burglars trying to get the blueprints for the performance center. Number 4 best. Otis gets his happy ending. One of the few storylines that was developed this year was the love triangle involving Mandy Rose, Otis, and Dolph Ziggler. So, we're pretty grateful that it had a decent payoff. Now, don't get us wrong, the match itself wasn't exactly a 5-star classic or anything, but it was a nice little bit of storytelling that ended with a classic WrestleMania moment. Otis is easily one of the most lovable wrestlers on the roster right now, and seeing him get the win and the girl was pretty much what wrestling is all about at the end of the day. Number 3 worst. Elias vs King Corbin. When we first saw this match on the card, we had one question. Why? This thing had Smackdown throwaway match written all over it. It's not that the match itself was particularly worse than we expected. In fact, it was exactly as we expected. Neither of these 2 guys have the it factor that could carry this one together. But even so, they could have done something exciting to give off that WrestleMania feel. Instead, we just got 9 minutes of by-the-books grappling with a roll-up finish. This wasn't a WrestleMania match. This was just a big fat nothing. Number 3 best. The ladder match. Okay, we're a little conflicted about this one, because the idea of defending tag titles in a triple threat singles match doesn't really sit well with us. Yes, The Miz couldn't fight, but still, they're tag titles. Either way, our fears were blown away with this awesome contest, where these 3 guys destroyed their bodies in front of an empty crowd, and that takes courage. The match was full of toe-curlingly painful spots and pure athleticism, which really woke most of the viewers from home up after some pretty tepid matches before it. Big question is, can we please get John Morrison in the world title conversation already? Dude is a beast. Number 2 worst, the Raw Women's title match. This one gets the big sigh. Becky Lynch is quite the divisive figure these days. There's those that think she's the second coming of Austin, and those who think she's a bucket of cringe who walks like she shat her pants. Either way, there was a lot of build-up for this competition after Shayna single-handedly beat the entire Women's Elimination Chamber competition, with Becky holding the belt for over a year, and with no other challengers since she's pretty much beaten the whole roster at this point. People were pretty disappointed to see her win with a weak-ass roll-up. All that build-up just went up in smoke, and Becky once again has no foreseeable enemies. At least the match was decent though. Number 2 best, Drew wins. Okay, you can argue that this was essentially the same match as the Goldberg vs Braun one, but we say this one was better. Getting the belt off Lesnar is always a major plus, and watching his matches always makes you anxious that he's gonna win again. But that was not the case this time. Drew was able to put away the Beast Incarnate, closing WrestleMania with a huge victory that will change the WWE for the foreseeable future, hopefully stopping the whole finisher spam trend. Let's just say it, Drew is awesome and can definitely carry the company all the way through this awful time. Plus, first British world champ, baby. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1 worst, dead silence. Look, we know that these are extreme circumstances, and we know this has been the situation for weeks now, but having no crowd for WrestleMania, the wrestling fan event of the year, just kills the point entirely. Many are of the opinion that WrestleMania should have been put off until everything blows over. But even if Vince was stubborn enough to keep it going, they should have done something about the dead silence of the Performance Center. Just look at AEW. They've been putting wrestlers in the crowd area, and you know what? It works bloody great. We've seen segments throughout WrestleMania with a bunch of people hanging around. So why not just let the wrestlers stand in the audience area and cheer each other on? It's very doubtful we'll be seeing any highlights of this show in upcoming years, since there just wasn't any energy at all. Actually, the worst part is that Dio Madden didn't win the 24/7 championship. Number 1 best, the Boneyard Match. We don't know how it worked, but damn did it work. On paper, AJ Styles vs The Undertaker in 2020 doesn't sound like the dream match it would have been 10 years ago. But thanks to the magic of cinema, this is a battle that we won't soon forget. Many will have gotten flashbacks to Matt Hardy's classic homemade battles, but this one took that concept and pumped in a shit ton of production value. From Undertaker punching through the car door window, to that brutal chokeslam off the roof, this fight made the most of a terrible situation with its campy brilliance. Honestly, it was the best The Undertaker has looked in years. Props to the dead man. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.